In this section, we'll be looking at power tools, part one. We will discuss the type of tools that require some type of power, such as electrical power from a power cord or battery power tools. Of course, these tools would be things that we commonly would use in construction, in carpentry, but something that can enhance your work to speed up and give you more productivity on the job. So we would discuss and should be able to describe the general safe use and maintenance of power tools, and of course the safe use of any type of power saws. Now we will be doing a performance test on power tools, and these will be looking at the different types of tools that a carpenter would see. So you're going to demonstrate and describe the safe and proper use of 5 of the following power tools. Again, some of these tools you may not see very often, but circular saws. We will not be working with a power. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We have a portable table saw that you will be working with. Combination compound miter saws, a drill press, nailers or staplers. Looking at the routers and a power plane. Maybe not metal shears because you're not going to see that very often, but you will see pneumatic tools. So as we look at this and get started, we should understand what OSHA is, the Occupational Safety Health Administration, and their safety and health standards for the construction industry. Now, if you look at their the standards that I have, this would be falling under 29 CFR Part 1926, and the subpart would be I, which is hand and power tools. So they're giving us the information that is necessary to work with power tools safely. So as we go through the course altogether, we will be discussing safety on a regular basis because safety is everything. It doesn't make sense to know how to use a tool, but don't know how to use it safely. So safety rules pertain to all power tools, especially since it's power. You got a lot more energy that can do very destructive things to us or to property. So there are many general safety rules to follow when working with power tools, many of which is outlined in our trainee guide. Matter of fact, we could just try to name some of those. We could talk about some, give you a couple ideas to think about. How about leaving the safety guards on, if it comes with one? Safety dealing with it, wearing the proper PPEs. Those are some of the things to consider. So when we're caring for power tools, number one, use the tool in the proper condition. If tools are dull, replace the parts. If it's a saw blade that needs to be replaced or a drill bit that is dull, replace them. Don't try to use dull tools. If you can sharpen them, sharpen it. So keep tools and machine surfaces clean. When things are not clean, it's oily, it's wet. Matter of fact, keep it away from water. Electric and water doesn't go too well together. You can short out the equipment. Follow the manufacturer maintenance procedures. Matter of fact, all power tools need to be checked. The power cords need to be checked to make sure they're not damaged or as missing pieces. Protect the cutting edges of these power tools. Keep tools accessories sharp, again, like the saw blades or the drill bits. Keep them sharp. Yes, they make tools so you can sharpen drill bits over again. Yes, if you use them, you find out it becomes one of your best accessories because it keeps you from going out buying more ones because you can sharpen it. Use the appropriate blades. Report any unusual noises or vibration to your instructor or supervisor. Regularly inspect tools and accessories. Keep tools in the proper place when not in use. Safe using and maintaining circular saws. Circular saws can be extremely dangerous. Now, here's the reason why. You got a blade that's turning at over 1,000 RPMs. 1,000 RPMs, revolutions per minute. So it's spinning very fast. It got a very strong motor behind it. It can be a gear-driven one that can speed it up even more. But here's the thing. There's a guard, like right here, and it keeps that blade in a position that as it's spinning, your hands or things cannot be cut. Only way this can open is when it actually goes you put the fence completely down and you push. This will get pushed back as you push your saw through the wood. As soon as you finish, it pops back. It's spring loaded. Yes, can you lift this up, this handle here, to start it? Sometimes you have to. Unless you're starting in the middle of a piece of wood, you can't push it through. You have to start it someplace else. But again, keep your fingers out the way of a moving blade. Matter of fact, keep the power cord. It's a cutaway, so you don't see the whole power cord, but make sure the cord is not getting pushed over the blade when you're cutting. So identify the parts of this the circular saw picture below. Then identify the safety procedures and precautions and requirements associated with each part. So let's take a look at this. See if we're looking at these different parts here. Okay, see if you can identify. It's in your book, but see if you can remember any of these. So there you go. So we have, of course, the blade. We have the blade guard, and it is retractable. Like I said, it's spring loaded. This is the handle that's connected to this guard. This is the upper blade guard. This is fixed. It doesn't adjust. It doesn't move. So that top of it always in place. It's always in place. And this here, this is the blade adjustment depth. So in other words, each saw may be in a different, might be here on this. This is a Milwaukee saw, but some other saws might be in different places. Just have to locate where to adjust the depth of the blade. Okay, and of course, this here is the base. This is the base. Usually the base will have a guide on it so you know where the blade is located. So you'll be able to cut straight lines and it would be cut exactly where you need it. So using safely maintaining the portable table saws. Portable table saws are used to do the following tasks: ripping, cross-cutting, mitering, rabbiting, and rabbiting is making rapid cuts. Rapid cuts are usually larger cuts. Dado making and cutting molds. So molding. So here's again using a saw safely. Most of these table saws you can do multiple things with it. You may have to make some adjustments to the saw to be able to give the right type of cut, because each one of these ripping, cross-cutting, mitering, rabbiting, dadoing, or cutting molding, the saw has to be set up differently, or you must understand what the saw would do in those conditions. So I'm going to see if I can send something out, a video that you can show different types of cuts on table saws. So a table saw, again, it's a time saver. Table saw can cut wood materials extremely straight and accurate. And you can do a lot of type of cuts on it. Again, I just Gave you a few of those to my miter, cross-cutting, ripping, rabbiting, dadoing. Each one of these is a different type of cut. And in carpentry, especially when you're doing furniture or cabinet making, these are common cuts you would do all the time. Power miter saws and compound miter saws combine with a miter box or table saw. In other words, a power miter saw, especially if it's a compound miter saw, it is like having a miter box and a table saw together because it speeds up the process of cutting. Matter of fact, you get to the point you probably use your miter saw, especially if you got a large blade, like a 12-inch blade on your miter saw, and it's a compound. You might end up ripping boards with that if it's not very long, and you can do it very quickly. So I have, like I say, a table saw that I would do a lot of things with. But my miter saw, I love using that because it's quick, fast, and can do very accurate cuts. Matter of fact, these days they will have a laser on your saw where you can line things up quickly. Of course, you may need to set it up correctly to make sure that it's set it up that it can um, that laser is hitting where you want it to cut. Abrasive saws use a special wheel that can slice through either metal or masonry. So it's a special saw blade that you will use. And so if you, and be honest with you, I would buy a special saw. I call them chop saws for that purpose, that you can cut either metal. I wouldn't use your miter saw for that because it was not designed to. Can you do it a couple times and get away with it? Yeah, but I was saying I wouldn't use on a regular basis. Uh, that chop saw um, or abrasive saw, um, it is designed to um, uh, to take that metal that is sparking and sparkles coming off as you're cutting to handle that. Um, and so it's usually made out of mostly metal because it need to be very rugged. That saw has to be rugged. So the common use for these type of saws were, like I said, a chop saw, um, but a demolition saw is not mounted on the base. Is designed to take it in the field. You can set it on saw horses with some boards and use it that way. But a chop saw usually is mounted on a base that you're cutting metal with. It's stationary. You sit there and use it for in a shop or a warehouse or in a manufacturing plant for cutting different things. So these are a lot of the different types of saw blades you'll find. Here's a couple of things to keep in mind. The more teeth the saw blade has, the finer the cut would be, the better it would cut. The longer the saw blade will last because the more teeth it's cutting is doing less work as it turns. So again, the more teeth it has. So when I buy a saw blade, a circular saw blade, a power saw blade, I look for certain things. What type of cut I'm going to be doing. If I'm cutting plywood, I use a special type of saw blade for cutting plywood. If I'm cutting cross cuts, like for 2x4s, um, I will get one that will do cross cuts. So if I'm going against the grain, that's a cross cut. If I'm ripping, that is a little bit different. It may look similar, but to rip meaning to go with the grain. So that those teeth are designed differently to be able to handle that type of cut. So again, many different types. So study that. When you make a trip to one of these hardware stores, home centers, and things, really just take a look at the saw blades. And because there's a lot of different ones, and some is better than others. Some swear by some saw blades, like Diablo. They're good blades. You can buy a good DeWalt blade. They're expensive when you get a really good blade, but they will take care of the job. You can do really fine cuts with it. If you got to cut particle board or drywall or boards or lumber, You will be using that blade for different purposes. Another type of blade you may find in masonry for cutting like ceramic tiles or bricks or pavers. Um, those are usually diamond um, blades. And it would use water to keep the blade cool and keep it from wearing out. Uh, so again, carbide tip blades are got special carbide steel that is hardened that will uh, that would last a long time. Buy a cheap blade, it will cut, but I'm going to tell you it will not last very long. So spend the money, and you will find out it will pay for itself. So what we're going to do in the classroom, we're going to look at saw blades, and we're going to go through um, the what to look for in these saw blades. Matter of fact, we're going to look at all different types, so you understand the differences in saw blades. So we're going to just wrap it up in the classroom, in the lab, as we go through these things.